Amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with another Spain Crisis interview. Today we're going to go to Barcelona and have a chat with Will, who's a young British guy that works in the hotel industry in that city. And we're going to get his views on the situation from a youth perspective. So let's go to the interview. Hello, Will.
How are you doing, Stuart? I can't hear you, but now I can. How are you?
Can you hear me? Everything okay?
Everything's great, thank you. How are you doing?
All right, great. Will, how are you? Tell us something about yourself. You're in Barcelona, originally from the UK.
That's right, yeah. Moved here when I finished university. So I graduated from Manchester in 2018. My dream always was since I was probably about 14, to move to Spain, to see the culture, to learn the language. And yeah, finished uni and I thought it's one of these things, you've got to do it now or you never will. And I've been here now for a year and a half. Not really looked back since, and been a very happy time until now, where it's been a little bit more difficult, shall we say, but overall a very, very great place to be.
You told me the other day that you're in one of the most affected sectors, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I work in tourism, specifically in one of the biggest 5-star hotels here in Barcelona. So I work in the concierge team. And we've all been issued what is called in Spain the ERTE, so temporary unemployment. And we're at home until further notice. And so, one, we assume until the state of alarm ends, and I suppose two, when it's viable for a hotel to reopen of its size and stature. I think that the difficult thing is that we can't really open just for the sake of it. We'd need something big to open for. There's 400 plus rooms. It's not the kind of thing that you can open up for just for 5 people here and there to come in with a lot of employees in the hundreds. Yeah, it's a tough situation, I think, for Spain, for most parts of Europe and the world that thrive on tourism. So I think we're learning to adapt in what best way we can. But that's our situation, yeah.
Before all of this went down, I suppose Barcelona was a great city to live in. You were enjoying life to the max.
Yeah, it's a great place. I mean, even now, the spirit of the people. Obviously, I think most people on your channel know about the 8 p.m. clapping. It's still going strong. Faded down a little bit in the last few days, but no, just I don't know. People somehow, it's what I love about the Spanish people, that they're really upbeat, happy people. And even though this is not a great situation. I mean, you could argue I'm one of the luckier ones that I've received only temporary unemployment. Many people here have received full unemployment, so it must be scarier for them. But no, it's a great place. And beforehand, yeah, just what an epic city. You've got the beach here. The weather's a plus. The food, the lifestyle that goes with it. Yeah, it's just one quite a good place to be.
Yeah. Now I know Barcelona's a huge tourist-based city, right? There's thousands and hundreds of thousands, let's say, tourists roaming the streets at any given moment. All that completely gone away at the moment. Any talk of it reactivating soon, or local tourism?
We're hoping so. I think everyone's hoping and praying for it to come back. I think most logically, obviously, this is no official information. This is purely speculation from myself, my colleagues and friends who work in similar positions, that maybe it would be more national tourism. But then again, it depends on the level of the economy. Do the people living here have the funds to travel? Do they have the security, the financial security to travel? And these are all things that we will see. I do believe, I think we talked about it the other day, that when the economy comes back, it will roar. It's just how long is it going to be until we get the international tourists? Because a lot of the tourism here in Barcelona, and certainly for our hotel, is very internationally based. We get a lot of tourists from the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, and the Pacific. So a huge part. I think it also depends on the hotel. I think it being a 5-star hotel, obviously we get people who are trying to have a holiday maybe of a lifetime, or we have very high-end business travel. So I don't know. I think every hotel is different, but when you walk around Barcelona, you get the impression that the tourism is international as well. And hopefully it will come back, because the city needs it, yeah.
Did you get any warning signs when the Mobile Congress was cancelled there? Did the hotel start to think, wow?
That was our first, I think, our first warning for sure that was cancelled. That's a huge money maker for the city. We're talking just a few days and bringing billions of euros. For the hotels, so much temporary work is picked up for that week. You see so many companies always advertising for drivers, personal assistants, people to work inside the exposition. People come to Barcelona from, I'd even say maybe all around Europe, or certainly the European Union, to come in and work. And I think it was a huge blow, certainly for the hotel. We were expecting to be full. Many hotels obviously take advantage of this. The rates go through the roof. And obviously all of a sudden these people don't come. But I think people forget that it's not just the tariffs for the hotels, it's the food and beverage that isn't consumed as well. That's a huge percentage of many hotels' income. When you've got gala dinners cancelled, tapas evenings cancelled, and they will trickle down through the city. The first ones to feel it will be the big hotels, and then eventually it will trickle down to the smaller restaurants. And that's exactly what happened. It was the big hotels that closed first, and then it was a gradual scaling back, I think, of hotels, for sure.
Now we're in phase 0 at the moment.
Yes.
been a bit hard to understand the phases, but have you been out today, or have you noticed any shops opening up, or takeaway coffee places, or anything?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I live near the stadium, off one of the streets just besides the Camp Nou, and obviously we've had the supermarkets open throughout the whole thing. Within the last week, we've had a few bakery coffee shops. There's a chain called 365 here that reopened a few up, one near us. I've not been out today. I usually go out in the evenings at about 9 o'clock. And I think on day one, the streets were packed. Yesterday, not quite so much, but there were a lot of people out. I think you'll see the real exercisers and the people who regularly exercised out every day. I think it's just the first day. People they haven't been out for, 50 something days.
50 days. So you saw a lot of people that weren't regular joggers, and
you can see people out, and I remember people were advised here to only go out with a household and maintain your distance from each other and not meet up. It was obvious there were people meeting up in the streets in groups. So I don't know, really. I think there were police out and about, but they weren't seeming to stop anyone. I think it was just they were probably overwhelmed themselves. We saw two police officers throughout our entire walk, and they didn't stop anyone. They didn't really seem to look like they would either. So and interesting. Is it similar where you are in Madrid, or?
I live on the outskirts. I live about 17 k's away from Madrid. So where I am here yesterday, there were lots and lots of people out, especially the time for the kids around 6 o'clock, because it was a nice day, and lots of people were out and about. Lots of people doing exercise apparently in the morning. I didn't see anybody because I didn't go out. But today I went out, and there were a few people around. There's a lot of cars driving around, a lot of people lining up at the supermarkets, and there were a lot of businesses beginning to, or at least they looked as though they were beginning to open in the industrial estate close to where I am here. They had the shutters up and maybe stocking the shelves or doing whatever they do there. And so there does seem to be a little bit of activity coming back to the country, let's say. But I don't think we're going to know the full extent of the damage for at least a couple of months, especially, as we said there, the tourism sector will, which is so important at this time of the year.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's the first thing that needs to. I'm no economist, but I know just how much of a fundamental part it plays upon this city. And I think it needs to come back as soon as obviously safe to do so. When that will be, I think, is when the government's outlined the phases. I think we're reading that some regions could come out before others, so it will be decentralized, the decision making. So
Well,
maybe that'll be positive. So
I was also surprised that a lot of restaurants couldn't adapt to a takeaway setup. I mean, now you've got Uber Eats and you've got Glovo there, and you've got all of these ways to get food to people, but a lot of businesses decided to stay shut for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, many did. There's a small pizzeria on our street. They stayed open. They did do takeaway and delivery services. You could go down and collect it on the street, or I think they were doing moped based delivery within a few kilometers radius to us. But besides that, yeah, we haven't seen anything. I mean, just if you were to open Just Eat, you wouldn't, or certainly in my neighborhood, I can't speak for Barcelona as a whole, there didn't seem to be that much round our end. So yeah, no, it's interesting that you say that. Maybe, again, I don't know, maybe it would have been more beneficial for the restaurants to not make any effort and just do an ERTE. There's that as well. How much trade are they going to be getting? Is it worth them opening or maintaining something open? I guess lots of questions to ask for different individual businesses. So yeah, there's many things to take into factor for that, but it's interesting. It surprised me too, yeah.
Now, you told me the other day as well that your parents are also living in Spain on the Costa del Sol.
Yeah, so they're in Malaga. They're in a place called Calonda. So it's between Malaga and Marbella. It's similar stuff down there.
Do you normally go down and visit them a fair bit?
Yeah, I try to, maybe once or twice a year whenever I can. It depends on work as well. Obviously, for us here, the high season, I tend not to travel through. I normally take my holiday, or last year, took it in June before it all began, went down there, and then again just after Christmas. Beneficial, I guess, because the flights are a lot cheaper. So, but yeah, I will always aim to go down. It's a great part of the country. And yeah, it's a change of scenery from Barcelona for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. How are they getting on?
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine, thank you. Just getting through, I suppose, as anyone would. Yeah, enjoying the daily walks as well. And I think where they are as well is a lot less populated than here. I mean, I don't know if you heard someone screaming outside now. I don't know if you picked that up, but yeah, there's a lot of people walking around here. We've noticed that since this began, actually, that as time went on, people that people are getting less and less tolerant of staying inside. But where they are, from what I've been told, it's a very quiet street. So very quiet area.
Yeah, the density of I don't know. Where are you from in the UK? You said you studied in Manchester, but
yeah, from near Manchester, small town called Burnley, of all places. So it's about 40 minutes away, just north.
Okay. And what's the density like? Because a lot of people that have never been to Madrid or Barcelona just don't really understand how dense these cities can be.
Incredibly. I mean, to give you an idea, we live in an apartment. I think that's fairly typical for inner city Barcelona living. So we have about just shy of 40 square meters, I'd guess, one bedroom. We're lucky that we get lots of light. I mean, now it's 6:15 in the evening and it's still bright during the day. Lots of natural light. We're lucky again. We have high ceilings, which make a huge difference. Where we were first living, when we arrived here, it was in a bigger apartment. I'll grant it that, but it was just no light, and I probably would not have really enjoyed doing this in our old place. But yeah, very dense to compare to the UK. Manchester, for example, lots and lots of people in small spaces here. I think it's just the norm. I think you'll see more houses in the towns like Castelldefels or Gavà, where you go further out of town, or towards the other way in Mataró. So yeah, just a lot of people, I think as well. The main complaint, I was reading the other day that noise complaints have gone on the rise since all this happened. People's sleeping patterns are all over the place. You'll have
putting music on at crazy hours of the morning.
Music, or having that spring clean at 4 a.m. For example. So it's just it's a tough time for everyone. But very dense, and you notice that when you go out. I think the supermarkets are smaller, or maybe that's just me. But people respect the distance. In the supermarkets that we've got here, there's 2-meter lines of tape all over the floor. It's pretty easy to navigate, to be fair.
That's it. Job. Was that type of living difficult to get used to compared to Burnley, or is it something that you prefer? That you've got everything available downstairs and you can. I
think so. I think you're right. It's nice living in a city, having everything available. I think thinking about availability, a culture shock for me was just everything being closed on a Sunday. That's not something that we're used to in the UK. So you get used to that a little bit. Planning your week, knowing that on the Sunday many things will be closed. It's just the way of life here, and just one of the many differences that make it such a great place. Spain and Catalonia, fantastic places to be. but yeah, great in the sense of you've got everything around. In the neighborhood you've got some great tapas bars and what I'd like to call more local joints than tourist rip-off spots. And it's a great thing after work, going for a beer at midnight, and there's no alcohol violence here. People can calmly have a beer, and that's a wonderful thing.
So you don't spend your time at the Boqueria markets there or places like that?
Sometimes, when I first moved here, yeah. When I first moved here, you've got to see them, but now, no, I avoid them mainly. The one in the city centre on the Rambla is quite the touristy, shall we say.
That alcohol violence, I know we spoke about that the other day. In Australia, we have it as well, where you go to a pub and there's I don't know whether it's an aggressive feeling sometimes in the air, but you just don't get that here at all, really, do you?
No, I've never really seen it. I've never really experienced any alcohol violence. I think people here drink to enjoy it, which is nice. And I think, obviously, I don't know about Australia, but comparing the portion sizes of alcohol, if you can use the phrase like that, of alcohol, it's not pints. The caña tends to be smaller, and the wine as well. Maybe it might be a bigger glass. Everything's measured in the UK alcohol-wise now, but people drink it slowly. Maybe it's the weather. I don't know, but it certainly is different. Yeah.
And when it comes to spirits, it's the free pour, which in Australia it's a measure. I'm not sure it's a 25 mil. I think it's 25 mils that you get in your glass, maybe 50 if you ask for a double. But here it's just the free pour.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same in the UK. I think it's 25 mils as well. Thinking back, and I did have hair when I lived in the UK, so take that for what it's worth. But I think, here it seems to be free for everywhere you go. And if you're friends with the person behind the bar, you're going to probably get more as well. So it's certainly a difference.
Now, your girlfriend's not Spanish, so you told me she's from the east of Europe. So you both live here together. No real ties with Spain. So thinking of sticking around, Will, for a few more years? Or
I can't see them unless they get rid of me. I think that would be the only way. I'd go now. I mean, so she's Ukrainian, and obviously I'm English, and we met here while I was doing my Erasmus year. So I did a placement here at the same hotel I'm working at now, actually. And then moved back here. It was a relatively easy process for me to move. For her, Tanya was already here, but through I don't know if your viewers will know, Article 10 is one of the immigration laws existing now within the European Union, or certainly within the Schengen zone, and that's how we did it. It was a very straightforward process, and as you know, Spain can be a bureaucratic country, but that was quite easy.
So you're talking about like a de facto type situation, right?
It was a pareja de hecho in Spanish. Is what we signed. It was easy. You go to the notary office, sign the papers, take it to Extranjeria, and then you wait for the card. But no, don't plan on leaving. I think now I think we were discussing this the other day with Brexit. I think the best option for the two of us would be to stay long enough to at least get permanent residency, so we could maybe come back or sit it out and become nationals. But these are this is a long time away for both. That's just thinking out loud. I think the way I view it is similar to I think how you do. It's a wonderful place to be if you have a job that you enjoy, and if you can be lucky to have a good salary as well. I think you're going to find it hard to find places like this. I think, in my opinion, certainly.
I think a lot of people come to Spain for different reasons. Of course, the majority of people from the UK, obviously, to retire, so they come for a different reason. But young people, I think, it all depends whether you can get a good job, but you can get a good lifestyle if you are able to, get a decent salary, and the cost of living's not too bad, I suppose. Even in the big cities, it's quite reasonable compared to a city like London, at least.
Yeah, definitely compared to London, even similar to Manchester. I think the only drawback for Barcelona is the rent is quite high as a percentage on your salary. It can be for some people up to 50%, especially for people who just get here. If you've in a rather fresh contract, it can be quite tough. But I think we're seeing that fall actually now. To be honest, on the websites you can now see that rental prices are falling, and this is before we can even view property. So who knows what's going to happen there now after this.
Yeah, who knows? Exactly right. Yeah, I suppose Barcelona, the tourist element also makes it expensive to rent. That's right.
Yeah.
Because of the Airbnb factor, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll start to wrap it up. Will, great speaking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hope you get back to work as soon as possible.
Yeah, thank you. I'll congratulate you on the Ashes again. I know I did the other day, but make it public.
That's all right. That's all right. You guys will have another crack in a couple of years' time, hopefully.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll go a bit better. But yeah, thank you for having me. Cheers for your time.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Cheers, Will. Great speaking to you. Have a good day. See you later.
Great day.
Bye, mate. See you, mate. So there you go. That was the interview with Will. Now remember that if you want to participate in one of these videos, there's a link in the section below and you can get in contact with me there. Don't forget to leave questions or comments also in the comment section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.